Wow. I have to follow that. This is great planning, isn't it? I have to follow that kind of presentation. Wasn't that fabulous? Excellent. I hope you're learning a lot today. I know I've been sitting down in what they call the green room. It's actually white, but that's okay. It's the green room. And I've learned a couple of things from the first three speakers who I really think they've done a fabulous job. One, I've learned I'm going to fail more because I'm a nerd, and that my wife, who's sitting in this audience, better start going to pink gloves because she's going to have to defend me. So I'm picking up a lot of things. I'm looking forward to this. But I'm here today to talk to you about a problem that we have in the state of Montana. And it's a fairly serious problem. And it's not environmental. It's not even about population explosion or the invasion of the big box stores. No, it's something else. I want to talk to you about job creation. What I want to do is make Montana the next best place to work. Okay? And I'm not talking just about jobs. I'm really talking about jobs that are high-paying, stimulating, environmentally sensitive, with great benefits. It may not be as exciting as some of these other stores, but I'm going to try and make it a little bit exciting for you. I moved here with my wife, Tara, who's in the audience, in 1995 with 5 children. And all the locals said about the same thing. It's a great place to live. You just can't find a job. You can't find a good job. Well, now some 20 years later, I'm a local. And I'll tell you, I'll about say the same thing. It's a great place to live, but you can find a job. You just can't find a great job. And that's what I want to talk about today. But before we get into how that's going to be done, because I am going to give you some of my feelings on how that could be accomplished, first let's talk historically. Before the Industrial Revolution, people went to areas near rivers and streams and farmlands where food was abundant. They moved their families there. They created communities. And they had a great lifestyle. But then came the Industrial Revolution. People started moving away from those areas like Flathead Valley. And they started moving to the big cities where the factories were. There were really good paying jobs there. And they felt they could supply a better lifestyle for their families. Now you look at some of those cities like Detroit, Pittsburgh, they're crumbling. They're having their own issues. Montana didn't have a growth period then, and that's probably a positive thing. But where are we today? We're in the information revolution. 24/7, cell phones, you're looking at them constantly. We're down on Twitter and Uber, and we're doing all these things. And there's factories in China. There's help desk in India. And there's startup companies popping up all over the world. And John spoke about it earlier. The software, they have a saying, Silicon Valley has a saying, software is going to eat the world. I used to laugh at that. Now I'm a little worried about it. Okay, so with all this happening, we can't miss this information revolution. We have to be very cautious about that from the state of Montana's viewpoint. But before we get into how we're going to accomplish this, I want to ask you a question. We know that the United States is the leader in high-tech startups. At least I hope so. We are. Silicon Valley is very strong in that. Who's number 2? I would bet you might think UK is number 2 in startups, maybe China, maybe India. Those would all be great choices. Estonia, okay? There's a website, angelslist.com, and they rate all the countries and all the startups in the country, in the world. And they track them because what they do is they put together entrepreneurs with investors. And now we're moving where we shouldn't be, but that's okay, because we're going to get away from Estonia. But Estonia has 1.3 million people. That's just a little bit more than the state of Montana. So think about that. So here's Estonia, who has 1.3 million, and they're per capita second in the world in the creation of startup companies, high-tech startup companies. Now the Silicon Valley. We all know Silicon Valley leads. So if we're trying to create great jobs in Montana, how do we do it from the Silicon Valley? Why are you even talking about the Silicon Valley? Because I think we have to learn from the Silicon Valley. We have to figure out what they're doing and what we need to do. And we probably need to mimic that. So there's 4 things that I've broken down that creates high-tech companies. The first one is lifestyle, believe it or not. You think about this. San Francisco down to San Jose, that's the meat, the core of the Silicon Valley. This is where really a great lifestyle, outdoor living, in a competitive work environment blends together. Creative people want to live where there's great outdoor living. And this has done a great job of blending that together. People want to live there. Second ingredient is brain power. Look, think about that. Stanford, University of California, Berkeley, Santa Clara, unbelievable. Schools graduate every year highly intellectual, motivated, entrepreneurial individuals who want to go to the Silicon Valley and write the software that's going to eat the world. So we've got 2 things in the Silicon Valley. We have lifestyle and we have brain power. What's the next thing? Money. It always boils down to money, doesn't it? Venture capitalists on Sand Hill Road. You have private equity firms popping up everywhere want to invest in the next great thing. And then on top of that, you have the high-tech companies like Intel creating funds to invest in the next startup company. Wow, they have all those things. That's fabulous. That really is. I get excited about going over there, don't you? If I was a young person coming out of college, I'd want to go over there. The next thing they have, the 4th ingredient, is something we don't even think about much, and that's incubators and think tanks. We don't think about that, but you know what? The Silicon Valley's been thinking about that. They've been thinking about that since the 1950s. You know, it's interesting. You always hear, and there's a commercial going on TV, but you always hear about Dell starting in a dorm room. And HP, it's always been famous. They start in a garage. They don't tell you the other half of that. They didn't stay there very long, right? They had to move out. And they had to move out someplace where it's inexpensive, where they could maybe get some other help. And this is where those incubators and think tanks occur. Stanford in 1950 helped HP, Hewlett-Packard, move into some cheap, inexpensive warehouse space on their campus. And they gave them all the help they could. In the 1990s, a company called Backrub needed some server space. Stanford was right there. They're graduate students of ours. We're going to let them use our servers. After a year and a half, they finally had to boot them out and say, you know, you're using up too much of our space on our servers. I wonder where Google would be today if it wasn't for that little helping hand, that little hand up. How many great jobs has Google created maybe because of that helping hand that Stanford gave them? So those are 4 ingredients in my mind. And the clicker goes there. Okay, these 4 things coming together in the right proportion will create the next great company. And great companies, as John spoke to, create great jobs, quality jobs. But we don't live in the Silicon Valley, and we don't care about the Silicon Valley. We care about Montana. So let's rate ourselves. Let's be honest. Let's rate ourselves according to what they're doing down there. Because we can't succeed if we're not fair to ourselves, correct? We can't just want it. We have to understand how we can get it. And this is what we're going to try and do over the next few minutes. So if my clicker works, there, wow. Okay, let's take that trip quickly over to Montana and actually into the Flathead Valley. So let's discuss the first thing. We got this one, don't we? I bet I can see smiles out there right now, huh? Lifestyle. Okay, clicker. Lifestyle. Well, I'm telling you, I'm the first one to say that all you have to do is go up in the mountains or in the winter or play golf or go hiking or go fishing, and you know that we have a great lifestyle and a highly, highly competitive environment. And given the right opportunities, though everyone in the state of Montana will be great employees of new, strong companies. So I think the lifestyle, people want to live in Montana. People dream in Montana about coming to Montana. I had a business associate in California, owned a big produce company. And he told me, he said, Tom, the place I want to live is Montana. And I said, Jim, when were you there? He goes, I've never been there. Jim's never been there. He had a big company account, but he wanted it because we have a great image. So that's where the lifestyle comes. So we match up very well with lifestyle. All right, the next one. Clicker, please. Thank you. The next one, brain power. Well, again, I'm up here to tell you that from FVCC to the University of Montana, to Montana State, to Gonzaga, Washington State, University of Washington, and I haven't even discussed Oregon and Idaho, we graduate every year the top-notch students in the United States. Highly motivated, highly intelligent, entrepreneurial, that want to start the next great company. And you know what about these students? They're from the Northwest. They want to stay in the Northwest. And within the Northwest, they love Montana. And they'll come here. So brain power, I'm not going to give that one up. Okay? I'm going to say Silicon Valley, we got you, we tied you on 2. Okay, the next one. Clicker, please. Clicker, please. Okay, the next one is money. I know that. Okay, money. I want to tell you right now, money crosses borders easier than any of these ingredients. Money is the easiest thing to get. I have a saying, great ideas will attract great amounts of money very easily. Now let me go back to Estonia. Estonia is the country where Skype, first the software for Skype started. And ultimately, they sold that company for $2 billion. Well, even in Estonia, they attracted a lot of money. And they sold a company for $2 billion. We will get money in the state of Montana. And it doesn't have to be somebody who lives here in the summer who we're going to go after and try and find their money. It's going to be, we're going to go after those same groups of investment companies in the Silicon Valley because we're going to have great ideas. It's all about ideas. Next one, this one should be real easy, right? Incubators. Incubators. Think tanks. Well, what the hell is that? And then there's going to be somebody in the audience, I know, and they're going to go, well, no, I think we have one in Missoula. Actually, I heard of there's 2, I think, in Bozeman. It's exactly my point. We don't know where they are, and we don't have a concerted effort to really push these. Okay? So, but can you just build an incubator and a think tank and think they will come? You know the old saying, if you build it, they'll come? Not always true. So there's a few other things that we have to do. One, we have to change the mindset of the government, both state and local. We have to involve the businesses to understand our vision. And we have to go and find the people. So you have to change attitudes in the state. And then if you build them, then you still have to go out and recruit them. Okay? So you're going to have to go to universities. And you're going to have to find the students. You're going to have to show them what we have here in the state of Montana. So it's a sales job to a certain extent. And then the last thing that we're going to have to do is we're going to have to build tech funds. Now, these tech funds aren't to invest in companies. These tech funds are out to build the incubator and think tanks where these people who we recruit can come in the state. They can set up shop inexpensively. They can get help from our business, people who do business in the state. They can get financing help. They can start their companies, and they can try and grow the companies here. And if they do all these things, some of them will become great companies, like Google, like Twitter. And if they do become great companies, guess what? Anybody want to guess? We will be, whoop, they just took my slide away. That's okay. We will make this the next best place to work. And folks, thank you very much for your patience. I appreciate it.